Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel English is Easy, and I hope that you have liked my previous videos. So therefore today what I am going to teach you is transformation of sentence, or simply you can call it degree change. So what is this? A degree change, basically it happens only on adjectives. So each and every one of us will have to remember the degree change, or if we have to transform sentences. So we have to give importance to the adjective, because as we can know, adjective signifies quality, quantity and number. But here in this kind of processes, what we are going to need is that only the adjective of quality, because everything is dependent on that thing only. So therefore, for changing the degree, or as I can say, for transforming the sentence from comparative to superlative, or from vice versa, that means superlative to comparative or to positive, we are going to need some basic things, and you have to learn some basic facts, or I can say that if you keep your concept clear, because how you can change the sentences from positive to superlative, or from positive to comparative, and again from positive to well, each and everything in that way. That if we consider the objective here, and if we make a flowchart like this, so what we can see that adjective can be transformed. That means the sentence can be transformed either into comparative or into superlative. So here what you can see that if the comparative can be of single syllable or of double syllable, similarly superlative can be of single syllable and double syllable. So in this case, what you are going to do, in case of single syllable, we have to add er to a sentence. For example, small will become smaller, reach will become richer. So in case of only single syllable, that means those words which you can pronounce in a single syllable form. But in case of double syllable in adjectives, in case of comparative in double syllable, then what we are going to do? We are going to add more than the adjective. Okay. Suppose take words like beautiful, intelligent. See how I am pronouncing intelligent. So as you can see that it has many syllables. So beautiful, similarly it has also more than one syllable. That means you can pronounce the sentence step by step. So in this case, in case of double syllable, what we are going to do, we are going to add more beautiful, more intelligent, like this way. So now in case of superlative, what we are going to do, as the simplest way is that after adjective we have to add est. So this is the simplest thing. So the small will become smallest, rich will become richest, etc. in this case of single syllable words. But in case of double syllable, what we are going to do? We are going to do that is most, after that the adjective. That means consider those sentences beautiful and intelligent or industrious, like these words, etc. So what we are going to do? Most beautiful, most intelligent, like this way. So this is the basic concept of transformation of sentence, or you can say a degree change from positive to comparative, or from comparative to superlative, or from superlative back to comparative, or back to positive. So these are the things. So you have to remember these things because this is the most important part of it, and we will change several sentences by using these things. Important part is that how we are going to transform a sentence from positive to comparative, or from comparative to superlative, or again back to the positive. So by using those things we are going to change it. Suppose in a positive sentence, if it is written like, no other king is as great as Ashoka. If this is a sentence, then if they ask us to change it into comparative, so what we are going to see, first of all, this is the thing, as great as, because whenever you are going to see a sentence is in positive, then it will be written just as it is. So what we can see, the king is greater than most other kings, or almost all of the kings. So when a sentence is being given like this, that means something, some person, thing, or a place which is considering which is being compared one among the rest of the things, then we can see that the person is, or the place, or the thing is better than each and everything. That means here, as you can see, our king Ashoka is greater than each and every other king. So this sentence, how will you change it into comparative? So how will you change it? Simply, here, as we can see in this sentence, as we can see, this is the main, this word is the main thing, so it will interchange its position. So Ashoka will come in first, and after this there will be lots of other changes in the sentences. Ashoka is greater than any other king. Now, my little friends, you should see one thing, but you should observe it very carefully, that as I have changed the sentences, but there are other changes also. What are the changes? First of all, number one, Ashoka, where it was in the first beginning of the sentences in positive sentence, it was in the last, but it has changed its position in comparative. And not only that, it has changed its positions, and as you can see, I have also changed the adjective into its comparative form by using adjective and er. And what I am doing is that I have introduced this thing. That means it is the third change which I have done. And the most important thing of all is these two words, any other. This is the number 4th change, because this is showing that among all other kings, not even a single one of the king is as good or as great as King Ashoka. That is what it is showing. This is the most important change. This is showing that This person is above all. No other, not even a single one is like him. These are the changes. So you can see that these 4 changes have been made in context with the first sentence. So you have to be very careful while you are changing this. So now if we change it in superlative, what will be the change? So as this sentence has changed its positions, each and every word has interchanged its places. So in superlative also they will change its place, but not all of them. This will remain. The important thing, that is our Ashoka, the king Ashoka, will remain in the same place. That means it will not change its position. And he is the greatest. That means no other king is as great as him. So Ashoka is the greatest king. See, Ashoka is the greatest king. That means the changes which I have done or which you are going to do is that we are using est with the adjective. So this is the simplest form of changes. Here is only one change, as you can see. Because it symbolizes greatest king, that means he symbolizes that no one else is as great as him. That means he is above all, above everything. So this is the change. So you have to remember this thing. It's very important. We can change a single sentence, that means whether it is given in positive or it is given in comparative or it is given in superlative, we can change it into different way. In the 3 ways we can go. But in case some sentence are like this, as I am showing you, she is not as good as Shita. Can you change this sentence into superlative? No. The answer is absolutely no. Why? Because here you can see she is comparison with Shita. And she is in comparison with Shita. So therefore these are the 2 persons. This is person number 1 and this is person number 2. So there a comparison is being drawn between these 2 persons. So whenever you are getting sentences which are giving you or which are showing comparison between only 2 persons, 2 places or 2 things or 2 objects, then we cannot change that sentence into superlative. Those sentences can only change its positions, or those sentences can only be transformed from comparative to positive and from positive to comparative. So whenever these kind of sentences come, we can only change it into comparative. So if we change it into comparative, that means she is not as good as Shita, therefore Shita is better than her. First of all, we have to remember that pronouns will also change. Because if you do not change the pronouns, then your sentence will not be grammatically correct. So here, as we can see, that the sentence is being transformed like this. These 2 things, they are the irregular changes, because there are something which I will also write down. That means there are some adjectives which are irregular. We can call this, they are having irregular changes. I will write it down for your help. So first of all, what we are going to see, that these sentences, if there is a comparison being drawn between 2 persons, 2 objects, 2 things, 2 places, So in that cases, you cannot transform that sentence from positive to superlative. It can only be transformed into comparative, or if the sentence is given in positive comparative, you can only change it into positive. So better remember, because it is very important. That is, if so this can only go change into positive to comparative, and it can come back from comparative to positive. So you have to remember these things, because if there is a comparison drawn between two subjects, places and objects, etc., so into sentences you cannot transform the sentence into a superlative, because the subject or the object or the thing or the main important thing is not being compared among the rests. It only been compared with another thing of its same stature or same value. So in that case, it can only be transformed into comparative, or if the sentence is given in comparative, it can only change into positive. So you have to remember this. You can note down these things, that it will be very important and it will be very effective while you are trying. Now what we are going to change, that is a different, it's a different way, because here there will be given that the subject or the object or the place, whatever it is being compared among most of them, but not above all of them. That means very few are there who can be equal to that person, or who can be equal to that place, or who can be equal in value or quality to that thing. So therefore, in this kind of sentences, we have to be very clear and about how we are going to change. Because suppose if a sentence is given like this in positive, very few kings are as good as Akbar. I should consider it as very few Mughal kings. Okay, so very few, you have to see this thing very carefully, because wow, because these very few represents that our King Ashok Akbar is not above all, but he is above most of them, but not above all. So in this case, how we are going to change this positive sentence to a comparative? So we have to be very careful about this word, because all the changes is surrounding this. So what we are going to change? First of all, the sentence will interchange its positions, each and every word. So do the basic changes. So what I have written, this is the change number 1, because as you can know in previous sentences you have seen this is changing its position. After that, adjective, it is also changing its position, and then this is the third change. And the very important thing is this, the number 4. That means Akbar is greater than most of the kings, Mughal kings, but not above all. That means there might be someone who is equal to him, not more than him, but equal to him. So this you have to be very clear. This concept you have to be very clear, because here very few signifies that means there might be some other who are equal to him, not above him, but equal to him. Same as he is equal to them. He is not above them, but he is above than most of them. So we are changing it like this. So if we change this sentence into superlative, how it will change? In superlative, it will change like this. Akbar is one of the best Mughal kings. You have to remember this single change. That means he is one of the, not above each and every one of them. He might be above most of them, but not above each and every one of them. You have to be very clear. You have to remember these things. Obviously, there is one thing. Akbar is an empire and not a king. So, whatever it is, Akbar is one of the best Mughal kings. So you have to remember this thing. This part is the most important thing. You have to be very careful about this. So what you can see, changing these, while we are changing these things to comparative, what we are using this most than most other. And when we are changing the same thing into a superlative, one of the best. That means you have to remember these things if such kind of sentences come. Because whenever it is being said that very few, that means that person or that place is better than or is above most of them, but not above all of them. So you have to be very careful while you are transforming these sentences. Here there is something written, that is irregular adjectives. So there are some adjectives which do not change as accordingly. What you have seen in the very first beginning of the video, that is by using er and est. We are changing into it by using er, we are changing it into comparative, and by placing est, we are changing it into superlative. But there are some which do not change in that pattern. So these are the words. They can be called irregular adjective. So as you can see, good or well, it changes into better. And obviously in superlative, it will change into best. Bad or badly, it will change into worse in case of comparative, and it will change into worst in case of superlative. Similarly, far, it will change into farther or farther into comparative, and while it will change into superlative, it will change the farthest and the farthest. So you have to remember this thing. Note it down, because it is really important and it will help you a lot. So there are some sentences which even it can be pronounced in single syllable way, but we cannot change it into that pattern. See this sentence. This house is more exciting than ever. Here the word exciting, it can be pronounced in a single syllable. but still we are using more. Why? Because I have already told you that more and most is used in comparative and in superlative respectively only when there is double syllable. But why it's being used here in a single syllable word? Why? Because if it cannot be exciting, because this is completely a wrong word and spelling also, because it cannot happen like this. It has to be more exciting. So this is a thing which you have to remember, because there are something which you cannot change according to that way. So in this case, you have to remember this. If such kind of sentence come, you have to change it like this way. You cannot change it in this way, because then it will be wrong and your marks will be deducted. So just note these things down. It will help you a lot. One more thing which I want to tell you, that is the tense will remain. If the positive sentence is given in present tense, you are going to change the sentence into comparative in present tense only. If the positive sentence is in past tense, you will change the sentence into past tense. And even if you are changing it into superlative also, then also you are going to use the tense which is given in the question, because the sentence, if the sentence is in present, it will change into present only. If the sentence is in past, the sentence will change into past, and if it is in future, it will change into future. You cannot change the tense of the sentence, because if you do that thing, it will be a wrong. So better be very careful while changing these things. So this is the very concept of how you are going to change the degrees, or how the sentence is transformed from positive to comparative, comparative to positive, positive to superlative, and from superlative to positive. So you have to go through these things, practice some more, and it will help you a lot. So the things which I have told you, just go through them. And if you have any kind of problem related to this, please comment in my comment, and I will try to explain it to you in a more vivid way. So I hope that you have understand this thing in a very clear way, and I hope that you will like my video, and please share and subscribe it, so that this video can become more important to each and every students who are seeing this. So I will be very grateful if you people like and subscribe my channel.